Today we got tariffs, and it seems like Trump might actually impose them.
Yeah, Canada said they're ready to retaliate with some tariffs of their own.
Then we got TikTok has officially been banned in the U.S.
Is it actually going to last, though? Apparently the CEO is going to be attending Trump's inauguration.
Next, we got Red Dye 3, which the FDA has also banned.
But it's not banned in Canada. It might be in some of your favorite candies.
And lastly, we got 50,000 international students who are no-shows to their designated universities or colleges.
So if they're not coming here to study, what are they coming here to do?
Live? Work? Maybe? I don't know. We'll give our thoughts and opinions on all of that. And after all of that, stay tuned for Off Topic, where we talk about all the trendy things. And as always, like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And go follow us at TheBiringPodcast on Instagram. So let's start with these tariffs. By the time this episode goes up, Trump would have already been inaugurated, and he hasn't let up on these tariff threats.
Yeah.
So that's not good news for Canada.
For sure. Canada's already in a pretty bad economic state as it stands. The affordability's all-time high, cost of living all-time high. And I think the mayor of Toronto just imposed a 6.9% property tax hike.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's all going to blend in with these tariffs.
I mean, that's what they do when governments need money, right? Taxes go up.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I guess those $250 checks weren't didn't help everyone as much as they thought they would.
Are they already going up?
No. But even this HST tax break, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it did as much compared to what the damage these tariffs are about to do, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So I think we have a clip of Trudeau talking about how Canada's planning on retaliating to these tariffs.
Together in a Team Canada way that is really impressive. Almost all the premiers are entirely united on knowing that this is a moment to stand up for Canada, stand up for our sovereignty, and be there to protect not just Canadians, but to protect the most successful economic trading relationship in the world in history. Between Canada and the United States. So we want to work as partners. We want to make sure that North America is ready to take on the trading and security challenges of the world by working together. It is an uncertain time everywhere around the world, and best friends working together to compete and succeed in a complex world just makes sense. So at the same time, as I've said consistently, if the incoming American administration moves forward with tariffs, we will not hesitate to act. We will respond, and I will say it again, everything is on the table. Now, with the help of all of you, I hope we can avoid that outcome. We're going to be true Canadians in this. Strong, polite, looking for the right ways to do things that we can get win-wins out of it.
Gotta remember to be polite to get your win-wins.
Right? Win-wins.
What the hell's a win-win?
But yeah, not everyone was on board with this unified Canadian approach. Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and this is what she had to say right after the meeting.
We need to be prepared that tariffs are coming. That to me I think we've all seen the biggest irritant to the United States are trade deficits, which they believe they have. I feel like from what I have seen that it's not my decision to make on tariffs, but we do need to be preparing ourselves for the fact that they're likely to come in on January 20th. If a 25% tariff comes in across the board on all of our goods, there will have to be a Canadian response. My efforts are to try to avoid that altogether. I feel like it would be mutually damaging to have 25% tariffs across the board on U.S. goods coming into Canada. That would harm Canadian citizens at a time when we have an affordability crisis, in the same way that a 25% tariff across the board on our goods to the U.S. will harm U.S. citizens, some more than others.
Yeah, so she recently met Trump in Mar-a-Lago, right?
Yeah, that's what she's talking about.
That's why she's saying she's expecting that these tariffs aren't going anywhere. Anyone that's met him recently, they all have the same idea behind it. It's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, if he keeps saying that's going to happen and then he backs down from actually pulling the
It's a
trigger,
little too much now.
right? And I feel like he has this goal of getting a better deal done with Canada, of somewhat trying to get some sort of trade deal or some sort of currency situation where it benefits the US more than it
Yeah.
does Canada, right? Obviously, right? But as far as Alberta goes, I mean, I think about 90% of Alberta's exports are to the US, right? So you
Energy,
can't,
oil, right?
yeah, so you can't really blame them for wanting to protect that,
Yeah.
right? Because if they're going to use these export taxes, which they've insinuated,
Yeah.
right, then what's going to end up happening? Alberta's going to end up paying a lot of that,
Yeah.
right? And if you remember, I think Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, way back in the day, actually imposed export taxes on Alberta, and there's still people there now
Yeah.
that would tell you about how they felt during that time, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think Albertans have forgot any of that, and I feel like they still feel the pain from that time period.
Yeah.
So I think you can't really get into this whole. I feel like there's this narrative that's being created about her saying that she's not putting Canada first. It's not like unifying the country, which isn't a wrong perspective.
For sure.
But I think what she's doing is trying to be like, hey, listen, let's avoid these tariffs, right?
Because she's right too, right? She's saying that it's going to affect Americans and Canadians equally, which it is. Right? If these tariffs come into effect at 25%, it's expected to reduce the GDP of Canada by 2.6% and America by 1.6%. So they're both going to be affected.
Yeah.
And it's mutually beneficial to not pay tax for both countries. Like, why the hell wouldn't it be? Right?
So then why is Trump so adamant on making these tariffs if it's going to mutually be negative for both countries?
I think he's under the viewpoint, like she's saying, that this trade deficit with China, with Canada, like they've been subsidizing Canada for years.
That's
When in reality, to my understanding, Canada sells the U.S. oil at a cheaper price than they would the rest of the world, simply because they don't have the means to ship it everywhere else, right? But then we did see China, I think last week was like, we're ready to negotiate as soon as Canada is. But then again, China isn't exactly like you're stopping to do business with the US so you can start doing business with China. But I mean, I don't know if you saw this podcast Stephen Harper was on, which, to be transparent, I read like summary notes on it. I didn't actually watch the whole podcast, but he was talking about how the notion that Canada is being subsidized by the US is ridiculous, right? And then he was going off of like how he's been always considered as a pro-American prime minister. He's also a conservative prime minister.
the most
Right? Like he's up there, right? And even he was saying that the words of Trump, they're not, and I quote, the words of a friend, ally, or partner, right? So like seeing that, and if you watch the whole podcast, it kind of carries that notion where he's just like, it's ridiculous to say that, you know, Canada is not its own state, and you know the things that he keeps saying, right? But I feel like Trump is just on this idea that he ran on, where he feels like he said all these things. There was a massive momentum behind him, where he feels that now if he's in office, nobody's gonna say no, don't do that. Everyone's gonna be like, yeah, let's go do it. Make Canada the 51st state.
There's a bunch of things
get us cheaper, right?
He's got to do now. He's got to back it up.
Like on a power trip?
Maybe. I mean, like if you end up, if nobody's going to refute what he's saying in the States until prices of things go up and until it hurts their pockets and stuff.
Starts hurting them, then they'll feel it.
Right. But even then, he's saying that he's going to, you know, make revenue from these tariffs and maybe income taxes. He says a lot of shit, right?
Well, we'll see when it actually happens. Like even Trudeau was saying they're ready to respond. Right? What would their response be? Obviously, counter tariffs, right? They're estimating roughly $37 billion, up to
In the
100
first round, right? Yeah.
in tariffs that they're going to impose on them, right? And it'll just depend how percent the actual tariff is. But what's happening here is he's achieving something that he's causing infighting for sure, right? And that's obviously, if you're negotiating with the country, is beneficial. They're just arguing with each other. Like even what's her name, Danielle Smith, that we're looking at, she's totally against a ban on energy exports, right? And Ford's for it. Even Jagmeet Singh,
Right.
He said in the past that he's for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would decimate their economy in Alberta. There, even Quebec, they're against it. And then Trudeau and Freeland are both for dollar
Yeah.
taxes, right?
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with when I think it was in 2018 when they were discussing the USMCA. That tactic kind of worked with aluminum.
Yeah.
So maybe they think it's going to work
Yeah,
again.
it has worked in the
Yeah. So like, but a 25% tariff across the board, I don't know if that's necessarily going to work. It's like whoever's pockets hurt first.
Yeah.
Right, kind of thing. But I feel like Canada's economy just started to recover. These interest rates are coming down now.
Started. I guess.
They were high for a long time. So like in the future, like what do you think is going to happen, right? Like if these 25% tariffs remain high for a while, these interest rates are going to come down,
Yeah.
right? Which has its own set of problems, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention the rest of the economy, jobs being lost, right? Like according to the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, Canada's GDP, like you were saying, would shrink by 2.6%, and Canadian households could lose an average of $1,900 a month, or a year,
Yeah.
annually, right? So that's not, I mean, that's not a considerable amount of cash, right? It's less than $200 a month, but still it's something.
Yeah. Even
Right.
she said in her interview, in one of her interviews, that just the 25% tariff would cause like 50,000 jobs lost. And their unemployment would spike too, right? So she has to look out for Alberta's best interest for sure.
Well, jobs would be lost all across Canada.
Yeah, that's the other argument, right? Like,
Yeah.
you got to put the country.
It's not in, especially since the GDP has been so low for so long, right? Like we're already in an economy that's not doing well,
Yeah,
right? So you'd see job loss everywhere,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I don't think you can vilify, for lack of a better word, her, or you got to have somebody who's going to unify, right? And be like, hey, listen, let's put Canada first while respecting everyone's interests, right? But we need to fight this thing together.
it really
right?
seems like that. Like a ban on energy isn't gonna fly. She's like, you guys would have a unity crisis on your hands then, outside of the crisis with the U.S.
But then again, that would also go both ways, right? Alberta's still a part of Canada,
Yeah,
right? And like I know there's a bit of a separatist movement in Quebec. It's always been there, right? But like if you're gonna do that, it's not like the rest of Canada isn't like, you know, what's better for Ontario, what's better for BC, what's better. They can all say that.
yeah,
Right. Obviously, if you're gonna do specifically to oil, which is Alberta's biggest export, they're gonna have a problem, right?
Yeah.
But if she's talking, if those like you're gonna have a national unity crisis, those kind of lines, those are just she's doing the same shit that when people say she's being on the opposite side of putting Canada first.
Yeah.
Right. She's not unifying anything. Right. It's the same sort of talk.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't need to say any of that.
yeah,
Right. Like you just say like this matters to my province because of X, Y, and Z, and you take it from there, right? And you keep having these meetings. And Doug Ford's in his own little world, right? I feel like he's doing these marketing campaigns with these hats.
Is he selling those? I wonder who's selling those, but I heard they're like making a lot of money off them.
Oh, the hats that say Canada is not.
And that's not for sale,
No,
right?
it's a company in Ottawa.
Yeah, they're selling a bunch of them.
Yeah, they sold over 20,000.
We should have thought of that. Right? Just because he wore it at a press conference. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the main issue here is just they got to make a united front one way or another, because
Eventually.
these things are coming in some way, shape, or form up to 25%. You got to be ready to tackle it. You can't be disagreeing.
Yeah, if they're coming, it's honestly just gonna go to a place where whichever country's hurting a lot, right? And then the deals
It's like
get
a waiting game. Yeah.
right. I mean, to me, it didn't seem like there was enough of a deficit for the U.S.
Yeah.
for you to cause such a big issue out of this.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, if he's really running on this and he thinks that Canada is the big problem that the United States has, sure.
Yeah.
Right now, you're gonna get this pain. You're gonna get this game that he's playing with these tariffs or whatever. I don't know if they're talking points or whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
But that's what you're gonna get, right? Like even a lot of Canadians who are Trump fans, they're gonna turn on him,
For sure.
right? Eventually, when it starts hurting their pockets,
Yeah, that's what it boils down to.
right? Already conservative premiers, former prime ministers, we're already seeing it. Even
Yeah.
Polyev, right, who everyone thinks is a shoo-in to be prime minister.
Yeah.
Even he's like, yeah, 51st state. Like, no,
No,
that's
yeah.
not happening, right?
Yeah.
Canada first. He says that all the time,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like just
Like-
because.
Yeah. It got to the point where it started offending people, right?
Mhm.
Because he's just saying it to everybody.
I've also heard this notion that like this global economy idea that kind of started happening after World War II is kind of slowly going away,
Yeah.
right? And you have this idea that like how Trump is, he's being a protectionist, America first or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to shut down global trade, if that's your whole thing, that we want to make sure we make money from every country, nobody's allowed to make money but us, you're going to run into problems,
Yeah.
right? And maybe the economy shifts globally
Yeah.
and maybe everyone starts doing that, right? Or Stephen Harper even said, he's like, maybe we should start selling out oil to other countries
Yeah.
and figure out ways to do that. And
Yeah.
if we haven't figured it out so far, maybe this is the best time to do so.
That's
Right.
true.
So you need to think that way. If you're Canada, if they're like, hey, listen, we don't want your oil, we're tariff. All right, who wants it?
I mean, that's the way I guess Trump's not even thinking about it. Like when you're faced with a problem, that's when a country's forced to find solutions, right? And what if they actually do?
Yeah.
Then you lose your major trading partner with energy
For absolutely
for no reason. Just like a bit of a power trip, like Simran was saying. And it's kind of something he ran heavily on, tariffs. So he's got to do it now.
Yeah.
Like, would it come into effect as soon as he goes into office?
He's saying he's going to do a bunch of things on day one.
The same
I don't
day.
think that was one of them. But
That is one of them.
That is
he
one of
said one of the first executive orders he's going to,
as soon as possible.
as soon as possible, right away, day one, is going to be
A
25%.
bunch of things like immigration. He's like day one, immigration bans, mass deportations, a bunch of stuff.
Please like and subscribe, as it really does help the podcast out tremendously. Now let's get back to the pod. Let's move on to the U.S. banning TikTok.
Yeah, it's happening.
Let's start with what's actually happening with that.
Yeah. So initially, people thought that they would just stop selling it on the App Store or the Google Play Store. They'd just stop selling it, and then it wouldn't get updates, and eventually it would just glitch out and stop working. But then later on, TikTok actually came out and said that they're gonna go dark on Sunday morning at midnight on Sunday. Right? It's just gonna go dark. The app's not gonna be accessible to anybody. It's just gonna be a link to a website that's gonna explain the ban and what's going on and everything. So it's gonna stop working
Yeah.
in the States on the 19th.
Yeah. I mean, did they say if existing users would be able to continue to use it? Or is this kind of
Honestly, it's a
is it guessing?
little bit of it. We'll see what happens on the day.
Yeah.
But there's conflicting reports. First, they were saying that like
now they're
they'll
saying
be usable, but now TikTok's coming out and saying it's not going to be. And I think they even released like some post somewhere or a message just today.
Yeah.
TikTok released a message saying, sorry, TikTok isn't available right now. A law banning TikTok has been enacted in the US. Unfortunately, that means you can't use TikTok right now. We are fortunate that President Trump has indicted that he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw he said that he's gonna do a 90-day extension
Yeah.
of TikTok, so it might not go dark.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, but that's from he comes into office on the 20th.
Yeah.
And that is set to take effect on the 19th.
Yeah.
Right,
So
so
right now,
the
this
day
is the message you get when you go on TikTok.
Okay.
But I think we have a video of TikTok CEO Shou Chu, I
Yeah.
believe his name is, making the case of why TikTok benefited America.
Everyone, it's Show here. As you know, we have been fighting to protect the constitutional right to free speech for the more than 170 million Americans who use our platform every day to connect, create, discover, and achieve their dreams. On behalf of everyone at TikTok and all our users across the country, I want to thank President Trump for his commitment to work with us to find a solution that keeps TikTok available in the United States. This is a strong stand for the First Amendment and against arbitrary censorship. As we've said, TikTok is a place where people can create communities, discover new interests, and express themselves, including over 7 million American businesses who earn a living and gain new customers using our platform. We are grateful and pleased to have the support of a president who truly understands our platform, one who has used TikTok to express his own thoughts and perspectives, connecting with the world and generating more than 60 billion views of his content in the process.
Right. And you mentioned Trump like 2-3 times right there in their message. They're mentioning him too. So clearly they're pretty confident.
I mean, we saw what happened with the Twitter files, right?
Yeah.
And then we saw even during, I feel like Trump's last campaign run, there was a lot of banning of like civic content. So you saw what Mark Zuckerberg did, and they changed the algorithm,
Yeah.
right? And then Elon bought X, right? And we saw what happened with that, right? And then if you look at what was happening during this campaign run, a lot of right wing, I guess you could say center right leaning political podcasters or commentators or whatever, they got a lot of views on TikTok.
They blew up on
So I don't know if that was intentional because these guys saw it coming.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, listen, we need to shift.
And even Trump himself, he said 60 million views he has on TikTok. So
I mean, you hear Charlie Kirk talk about it all the time, right?
yeah,
Who's
he's really
pretty
big on
big
TikTok.
on the right now, right? He talks about it all the time, how TikTok basically blew him up,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, I don't know if it might be a good move for them business wise. If they saw this coming, they're like, hey, listen, let's open it up to the right. And then
That guy even went to Greenland with his son too. He's kind of part of their whole.
Who did?
You just mentioned.
Oh, Charlie
Kirk,
Kirk. Yeah, I mean, he's been campaigning for the right for a long time. I don't disagree with a lot of the things the guy says.
Yeah.
But I feel like not to like criticize him.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying in general, political commentators on the right kind of got a large benefit from TikTok.
For sure.
And by the way this guy talks, it kind of makes it seem like that was intentional.
Yeah.
Right?
He seems like he's pretty buddy with Trump too.
Yeah.
He's going to be attending his inauguration. The whole tech industry as a whole, they seem to be embracing Trump, right? You got Bezos, Pichai, Musk, Cook, Altman, Zuckerberg. They're all going to be at his inauguration.
Well,
The richest people in the world.
I would think you would have to, right? Because the president's basically one of the richest, most powerful people, right, on the planet. And then a lot of things can happen, right? You saw what they did with media, like Zuckerberg was saying it. We were talking about the last podcast, right? He was talking about how they came at him and they would even curse at him. And they were trying to get him to take down certain content or whatever. Like, I don't know how much of that is true and what's not true. But he shifted very quickly. Why didn't he do that 6 years ago? Right? He didn't put any onus on himself. He's kept
I have
saying
a
it was
little
done.
to do with who's coming.
Right? So if he sees the writing on the wall, you think everyone else doesn't? You think TikTok doesn't? You think Google doesn't? You think Microsoft doesn't? They all do. Bill Gates recently met with Trump.
Yeah.
And he said, I was very surprised.
Very impressed.
And impressed.
Yeah.
Right? Like now all of them.
Same people who are talking about.
Right? Same people who were talking bad. And now they're saying like, oh no, maybe he's very impressive. Right?
Yeah.
But to what Sukri was saying, there's a 90-day. I saw this thing in Wall Street Journal that says some legal scholars said Trump's ability to delay the TikTok ban is limited under the law. Though the incoming president could proceed anyway, the federal law permits Biden to extend the January 19 deadline by 90 days if there is significant progress toward a sale backed by legally binding agreements. Past that point, Trump can also lift the ban if his administration determines through an interagency process that TikTok is no longer under Chinese control. He can also refuse to enforce its restrictions and give assurances to Google, Apple, and Oracle that they won't face any fines for violating the statute.
Yeah, so he clearly sees that it benefited him a lot, right? And he's in his first term, he wanted to ban TikTok too, and now he's totally switched sides on it because of he saw how beneficial it was. But it seems like his power was limited. He couldn't really do anything yet, and he has to get into office to enact that 90-day thing or whatever.
Yeah, so like what that thing is basically saying, you can give a 90-day extension for the sale of it.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, you can refuse to enforce it.
Yeah.
You can also do an interagency process. So what are they going to do? Yeah, even back when this first started, I remember, I could be wrong here, but Trump said something along the lines of like, TikTok is Chinese spyware or something. Like they were all saying it, right? And then now he's magically going to be like, it's not under Chinese control.
Yeah. I didn't even think of what you were saying. Like all these civic rights leaders, they blew up on TikTok, right? Maybe that was him seeing this all coming and they're just letting it through. They were
to me,
censoring it before.
a lot of the times when I look at some corporations doing moves, it's always for monetary gain.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Zuckerberg stayed on the left for as long as the left was in power.
Yeah,
Right now he's on the right.
yeah,
And the same thing I feel like is happening with the TikTok guy. He realizes that, right? Like, I don't know. To me, it just seems like they're all they see the writing on the wall and they don't want to get banned or, get their content taken down or not make money from their platform. So
yeah.
they're going to do whatever they have to do.
But even from like Trump's perspective, right? When you look at like how he won the election, one of the voting blocks that he kind of missed out on was the youth.
Mm-hmm.
So getting them TikTok back, all these teenagers, that's a huge feather in his cap too. Then he kind of wins over everybody, kind of.
But do you feel like, how they were talking about this whole censorship stuff with the left and this is happening and that is happening?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the same thing is going to happen here with the right? Right? Like, I mean, if somebody was to analyze me politically, right, they'd probably say I'm center right. Right? Like, I assume that's how I come off it.
Yeah.
Right? But like, to me, I feel like if you're going to make people on the left self-censor now,
Yeah.
right, or try to be like, they can't say this because now you start villainizing anyone who speaks from that point of view.
Yeah.
I feel like you're doing the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Like,
You just start canceling people on the other side.
yeah, right? Is it like cancel culture went away or did it just shift from the right to the left? Right?
So I have an unpopular opinion.
What's your opinion?
Do you think this is a good thing? Banning TikTok? Just think about how much time people spend. We talk about brain rot.
Yeah.
Like, do you think people are going to get part of their lives back?
I thought about it too.
Like, just think about how many hours are spent on these little kids.
Yeah, yeah.
On TikTok. And now,
Little kids.
what
I
are
know
they?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys, is it kind of like, well, what am I going to do with my life now?
Maybe for like those kind of people that are on TikTok but aren't gaining like any monetary value from it, but
That's what I
people
mean,
that
not
launch
like
their
influencers,
businesses
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like make
But
money
I just think
off
for
of
general
it.
public, I guess maybe parenting.
Yeah. It might be
Maybe
good.
it's a good thing.
Like we've been talking about banning in Albania and then Australia's with
I
the
was just
16
thinking
and
in
under
terms
and now
of
this.
brain rot.
Yeah, yeah. Just spending so much time on it.
Hours people
Yeah,
spend
hours.
like saving recipes they never cook.
Yeah.
Saving exercises they never do.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
But we all are. Okay, do you think that is going to prevent brain rot or do you think
You just rock your
just
brain
go
somewhere
somewhere
else. Yeah.
right, it just goes to YouTube, it
Reels.
just goes to Instagram, it just goes to what was this other thing?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? There's another Chinese app that
Did you
people
guys hear
are
about
kind
that?
of like flocking to. Red Note.
Yeah, yeah.
They've gained millions of US users since like this has come out that TikTok is gonna get banned.
Yeah.
It's the top free downloaded app.
And it's similar.
It's similar. It's like kind of a mixture between TikTok and Instagram. Very similar, but it's in Mandarin.
Yeah.
It's like
Literally in Mandarin.
understand. And people that go on it, like old TikTok users,
Yeah.
they call themselves TikTok refugees.
Oh.
And apparently the app is really welcoming because obviously they want all the
They
downloads.
want the green card.
God.
But it's interesting because like the US is banning TikTok.
Yeah.
It's a Chinese app, but then people are downloading this other app that's probably even more.
Because
Yeah.
I don't think people cared about
They
the
don't
companies
care,
that
yeah.
The
made
general
it. It's
population.
the government
Yeah, so
that
then
cared about it.
what if that keeps happening? They ban this,
just a
something else
new
will come
app.
out.
Just keep banning different apps. Yeah. If you,
Canada should make one.
What
you-
now?
Flock.
Yeah, why doesn't the US just make their own?
that's the other thing I heard a lot of people saying. Right? Like,
What?
can't they just copy their intelligence or whatever it is and make a equivalent? app?
Well, theoretically, yes.
Yeah.
Right. But when in Canada and US, you have what we call ethics.
Yeah.
Right. If you go to China, they have Apple stores that aren't Apple. They don't
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
Apple
they're like
logo. They're
whatever.
these
Yeah, they
next
just fight
iPhones,
everything.
right? And we've seen fake knockoffs of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right. And then they also have something like the Chinese car company BYD, which is basically a cheaper version of Tesla.
Yeah.
Right. So they will take your whatever you have, back engineer it, and make it for their community. Right?
Yeah.
In the US, in Canada, in Britain, they tend to be like, well, we'll develop our own version of this or a
Yeah.
better version of this, right? That's kind of how they work ethically. And now I'm not saying that when it comes to military and countries that everyone's sound and ethical, but generally that's how it works. But the reason why Canada doesn't have much there is because of high taxes.
Yeah.
To me, right? Like if you're not going to incentivize, if you're going to incentivize the next 19, 20-year-old kid to become the Mark Zuckerberg in Canada, and you have what we have here,
Yeah.
by the time he almost becomes it, he's going to move to the US.
Yeah, that's why there is no tech development here
No.
at all, right?
And there could be, right?
Well, all we have is Shopify, right? That's like
No,
tech space.
there are a lot. There's a software company called Constellation Software.
That one,
There
yeah.
is Shopify. There's a few of them. There's been
There's a lot of technology advances, I think, in Waterloo, like their university.
Yeah.
I see it all the time.
there's definitely some smart people in Canada,
Yeah.
right? It's just that
There's a reason there's no Apple or Google here, is what I'm saying.
Right.
yeah, like if you had the right mindset, we're such a rich country in terms of natural resources, right? If you knew how to leverage that and make money from it and give it back to your countries, incentivize the right businesses, incentivize them tax wise, right?
Yeah.
And then let those businesses grow, create more jobs here, GDP, a lot of that stuff starts to take care of itself, right? Like Toronto's a massive city, right? Like if everyone here just depends on housing, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest corporations here are banks,
Yeah.
that's wild,
Yeah.
right? Like what more do you expect? Everyone, like, I feel like even this whole Trump movement, we talk about these polls where people are like, no, we want to be, we're not for becoming the 51st state.
Yeah.
Go read comments online.
Yeah.
On any social media platforms, they're like, yeah, I don't mind being the 51st
I've
state.
seen like, panels of people just sitting around talking about how they want to be.
Right?
Like, just videos of that.
Those people are lost.
Right? So, like, that is, don't you guys feel like, okay, this isn't like a research take or anything, it's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Don't you feel that the same way that we consume American movies and TV shows, right? Like Hollywood, it's the same way we consume American social media influencers and American politics.
Yeah.
Right? So it has that influence on Canadian culture,
For sure.
and you start
So
to
much,
believe I'm a part of that
Yeah.
culture.
Even
When you're
with
not.
even with TikTok, it's gonna be banned in the US. So TikTok's scared too. Their whole user base is gonna diminish because all the majority of the creators that are very popular because they make money. You don't even make money in Canada off of TikTok. So they're all gonna be gone. So who's gonna use the app? Everyone they
imagine
like
this.
watching is gone.
Imagine if this was Trump watching this happen to Canada.
Yeah.
What do you think he would say right here? He'd be like, hey, listen, if they don't want your product, we'll use it.
Yeah.
Right? And he would pull a massive
Start
company like
pushing
that
it. Yeah.
right into the US.
Yeah.
Right? You'd incentivize
But who's
them
gonna do
from-
that here, Trudeau?
No, Trudeau's not going to do any of that. Right? But like, I think Polyev was talking about what it means for Canada in terms of TikTok. I think we have a clip of that too, right?
Already ordered all of our conservative MPs, senators, and our staff to stay away from TikTok altogether, stop using it because it risks infiltration and espionage and manipulation by the hostile regime in Beijing. I'll be following the decision in the United States very carefully. I don't have anything to announce right now, but it's a very good question, and we'll be following.
So I feel like,
So he's kind of lockstep with Trump too, right?
I don't know if he's lockstep with Trump. Is that a Trump tweet?
Yeah, it just says the Supreme Court decision was expected and everyone must respect it. My decision on TikTok will be made. It's something that you guys had already said.
Not too distant view, but I must say, okay. Yeah.
So he didn't really have power over
No.
anything that was going to happen. He couldn't control it, right?
And I also do feel like a lot of like I think Kevin O'Leary came out saying that he'll give $21 billion for it.
Yeah.
I think Elon offered
Even
to buy
Mr.
it.
Beast, I think, was offering or trying to get together to buy it.
Right. And then even that they try to paint it as like, whatever, I'll buy it. Right?
Yeah.
As if it wouldn't be one of the biggest companies
Yeah.
on the planet. Like you see
It's like
Meta
they
sitting
can
over there.
afford it. Like,
Well,
China doesn't even want to sell it, right? Like they're not going to sell
If
it.
they're
Clearly, they
forced
don't
to
want
sell.
to. They would have
Yeah.
already, right? They're really trying not to sell it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the deal would have been done, right?
Mhm.
The other thing is, like, if Musk buys this, if he's the one who ends up buying it and that's how it stays in the States,
Mhm.
isn't that crazy? You're giving one person that much power?
You're kind of monopolizing social media there. Elon
owns-
Musk, Zuckerberg. And
That's it.
And
Right.
whatever president can get them in their pockets controls the narrative
insensitive
nationwide.
Crap.
Like if you ever thought CNN, Fox, and all these news networks are dangerous,
It's kind of the same situation that would start happening.
right? They just control algorithms and they make it seem as if these voices
Yeah.
aren't controlled somewhat. They are, because they're
Yeah.
going to showcase whatever they think is true and fair.
Yeah.
And they're not going to showcase what they're.
Monopolized by them. It has been.
It has been.
But not just two people.
Yeah.
There's
Not
more
just,
players right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, take away TikTok.
yeah. Then there is only two of them, right? And then there's YouTube.
And there's
Sundar Pichai.
YouTube,
Yeah. Right. Google's always going to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Google's been a massive company. They've always kind of leaned left, right? Historically.
I guess there's Snapchat, whoever owns that.
I mean, Snapchat's a completely different platform, right? Does anyone use it to that extent?
Technically social media. I don't know.
Right? Theoretically.
Yeah.
But yeah. Look, these are merely our opinions based on our life experiences, knowledge, and research. Maybe you agree or disagree or simply want to be a part of the conversation. Leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Now let's get back to the pod. Let's move on to another ban. This one's by the FDA.
Bunch of bands.
Red dye 3. So what is this?
Yeah. So it's a synthetic colored dye that's used to give foods a vibrant red color. So it has no nutritional value to it. And it's only used for aesthetics, just to make it look more red. Whatever, like candies or whatever you put it in. Like jelly beans, things of that nature.
Yeah, like some products that have it, like common products, like sprinkles, a berry and cherry flavored candy.
Yeah.
Some cereals have it. Some fruit juices have it. Like those, some sodas have it. Even bacon has it in
Really?
it. Yeah.
That's
Processed meats are no
That
good.
sucks.
Yeah. I mean, to his credit, I think RFK actually made it more known.
Yeah.
But it's something that I feel like health activists have been talking about for years now.
Yeah.
I think what you're based on that what you just said, they're more like, why are people so concerned about this additive? Why don't you look at the whole of food of what we're consuming?
Right.
They're so focused on this dye.
Yeah.
But what about all the other garbage we consume?
Yeah.
So I've seen that camp.
That's true too. Like maybe this out of this whole administration with Trump, maybe this will be the good thing that comes out of it, like the Maha movement opposite the
Yeah.
MAGA
Make
movement.
America healthy again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like to answer your question, I feel like from what I read, there was like a study done like 3 decades ago, right? That linked male rats to cancer from red dye, right? And nothing happened from that for 3 decades, right? They stopped using it in cosmetics and they stopped using it in other things, but they didn't stop it in food because apparently, I don't know for sure, but there was some lobbyists from the food industry who kind of stopped that from happening.
Yeah.
Right. So then it kind of,
Crazy, no?
which is wild.
Because they're
allowed
like,
to
you
eat
can't put it on you, and like, no, not in cosmetics,
But you
not
can-
in topical drugs, but you can ingest it.
Right?
That's fine to do. Well, their argument was that the levels of human exposure didn't compare to those rats. Those rats were given too much of it, and humans, you're only eating a couple candies or something.
But even then,
not that
like,
bad.
why would it be safe to put that, not safe to put it on your face, but in your mouth?
The simple thing is if there's a slight chance, the littlest chance that it can affect you in any way, why is this even a debate?
I mean, a
Get rid of
food
it.
lobbyist, you can see why they would do it, right?
Obviously,
Because, you know, it's going to make their
selling their
product more
product.
vibrant.
Yeah.
It looks brighter and more colorful. People are going to want to buy it more, right? That's why they're going to do it,
Yeah.
right? But from, I feel like a health and safety standpoint,
Yeah.
like,
It's a no-brainer.
yeah.
You just get rid of it if it's any chance that it could harm you, right? Like if my fruit roll or what are they called? The cereal,
Loops.
the Fruit Loops, right?
Yeah.
If they look a little not
Less
vibrant,
red. Yeah.
is it gonna bother me?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather it be healthier.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can say that for anything. Sometimes, like you kind of eat, you see it with your eyes first,
Yeah.
right? If it doesn't look appealing, are you really going to want to eat it? I'm not saying I want people.
Yeah.
to eat this,
Yeah.
but I mean, like she was saying, processed meats
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
so much crap in it. Those like rotisserie chickens you buy have so injected with so much crap.
A bunch of sodium.
Yeah,
and stuff,
it's all not good for you. It's just where do you stop it? Where do you not?
I feel like we've come into this we were always headed in this direction, but this huge like marketing era where like everything's about the dollars and cents, like
Yeah.
always, right? And companies are just trying to make as much money as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And I think we were just in the airport or somewhere, and I don't remember, but like exactly where it was, but I was buying something,
Yeah.
and was standing directly below that, and she
Yeah.
was looking at the whatever was there,
Yeah.
and it was at kids eye level,
Yeah.
right? And she was like, "Can I buy this?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's smart."
Yeah, it's purposely
Yeah.
placed there.
They do that. Their placement on the shelves
Yeah.
is lower for the kids. Right?
Right.
So I
But
don't
like with this announcement, now since it's banned, the FDA gave companies until January 2027 and drug manufacturers until January 2028 to
Yeah.
reformulate their products
so they gotta
to
get rid of
comply with the updated law.
Okay, so they have a
Gotta
couple
get rid of
Add like red
Present.
dye number 2.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna add a
Red
different
dye
type
number
of it.
I mean, even the FDA, they're adamant.
Mhm.
They've always been adamant, like it doesn't cause cancer. We're just essentially, just paraphrasing, they're just like, we're getting rid of this, so you guys shut up.
Mhm.
Like, they're like, it doesn't cause cancer. Though.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
They're adamant about that.
Yeah. But I mean, like, to what you were saying, like, I feel like when it comes to being healthy, there's a lot of other things you can do as well,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can understand that criticism, but like, with all the stuff they do to food, like you guys are saying, I would rather not have that.
Yeah.
sure.
And all the preservatives and everything that
Step
they
in
do.
the right direction.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
That's-
if you can get more,
Yeah.
like even people who buy the label organic, it's just a label.
Yeah.
None of that stuff is organic.
Sticker.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, to me, it just seems like it is a good step.
I mean, the best thing you could do is buy farm fresh if you have the capability to go buy from a local farm or something, or a butcher to get your meat there.
For sure.
Probably. It's probably and you're supporting local
Yeah.
businesses, right? Helping them grow in your local communities.
Means, though,
Yeah.
for sure.
Because it's usually more expensive because it's more expensive for them to produce, right? Compared to like these massive grocery stores.
Some of these dyes are crazy though. I read into some other dyes like red, yellow, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1 and 2. They're causing behavioral problems in children. So
I've read something like on like the spectrum type of
Yeah.
relation, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I've seen
even
that.
like if these dyes are that bad, why the hell are they in the food?
Yeah.
If there's any evidence to support it,
Money.
what's the-
It's
yeah.
money.
But
Yeah, like where are they gonna get, I guess, that color from?
they're using it just to appeal to the kids, to sell to the kids,
for sure.
right?
I mean, you've seen it with pesticides. There's been massive cases against them. You've seen it with so many things over the years, right? Like
Yeah.
whenever they can, even seed oils, everyone's been talking about them.
Yeah.
Right. So like wherever they can find a way to cut costs and make more money, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Wherever they can try to advertise their product more, they're going to do it. Right. Like with seed oils, you hear them talk about how it was first introduced as a lubricant for
Yeah,
machines
yeah.
and engines and stuff. Right.
And
And
people
then
are
now
eating
people are eating it. It's in everything.
That's
And
why.
cooking with it. Right.
It keeps going though, because then it moved on to like avocado oil, but then there's so many problems with that.
Yeah.
Really?
It just
What's the best oil? I thought it was avocado.
I thought it was too. I think it
Apparently-
go back to olive, like
Well, yeah.
olive oil.
And then the whole margarine thing, right? Like that whole campaign where they made people believe
think it's healthy.
that margarine was healthy and people are out here eating plastic, right? And now like everyone's coming back and saying it's actually butter, right?
But if you read more into that, it's like, yeah, butter's healthier for you. That clogs your arteries.
Yeah.
Then it like
No, I feel like it's like it's not healthy for you,
Yeah.
period.
Is there just too much
Right.
information out there now? And
because of TikTok. So the battle.
But just in general, like Google, you can Google anything and find a bunch of articles and just educate yourself, and then you come to the conclusion like, I can't even leave my house, man. Can't eat anything.
You remember back in the day, like from like a Punjabi standpoint,
Yeah.
right, they would always say like "kyo" or "ki," however you want to say
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
right? That it's good for you,
yeah.
right? Like that's what our parents
been
would believe,
saying
and
that,
we'd be
yeah.
like, "Yeah,
good for
you
your
guys are a
bone."
little crazy,"
Yeah.
right? And now you
just
hear.
take, like spoonfuls of it and just put it on your subject. Here.
Now you hear a whole bunch of people on TikTok and Instagram and
cooking
stuff
with
putting
ghee,
they
yeah.
put it in their John
Coffee.
stuff
They put
and
in
the
their
coffee.
Yeah.
It's like a thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And there's these butter bandits all over the place stealing it.
Valuable, man.
Yeah, and
But Canada hasn't banned this thing.
no, as far as Canada goes, there's an article in the Globe and Mail. Health Canada reviewed an evaluation from an expert committee that it considered the toxicological studies in experimental animals and concluded that the dye does not pose a health risk to humans at levels specified in Canadian regulations.
Yeah. So they're just saying their limits are safe enough.
Yeah,
We
they're
know
saying-
what's safe enough.
Yeah.
But the
We
US
set the
just
limit.
banned it altogether.
Yeah.
But the Canadian limits are safe enough.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah. They're saying we don't put
Interesting.
too much.
It's just like, for me, all of this stuff, if there's any chance that it can harm anyone in any way, just take it out. It's not that complicated. But obviously, like you're saying, it's a money thing. It's probably cheapest to use. There's probably some way they can get a similar color, but it's going to cost a lot more.
Yeah,
Obviously, the
and it's
companies
easier
make it
said than
cheap.
done, right? Like it's a part of capitalism. Like if
Yeah.
you, like how Sophia was talking about brain rot,
Yeah.
right? And if they were like, oh, hold on, it's going to destroy children of the future. They're not going to have any attention span. We're going to have to shut down all social media everywhere.
Yeah.
People like us would be like, that's not fair, right? It's like we're trying to create a presence
Yeah.
online here, right? So I feel like, I mean, I'm not saying that companies that use these kind of dyes are well-intentioned companies that are just
Yeah.
trying to make money, period,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to bend the rules and try to make as much money as they can possibly make, right?
Yeah. I think Canada should follow suit. But
Talking about bending the rules,
yeah.
let's move on to these 50,000 international students were no shows to their designated colleges or universities. In an article by the Globe and Mail, close to 50,000 international students who received study permits to come to Canada were reported as no-shows at the colleges and universities where they were supposed to be taking their courses, according to government figures, for 2 months last spring. Numbers obtained by the Globe and Mail show that the non-compliant students made up 6.9% of the total number of international students recorded by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada.
Yeah, so they made this international student compliance regime in 2014, right? It was set up to help spot bogus students and schools, questionable schools, to get rid of them. Yeah, they have to report twice a year to make sure that their students are actually students and they're actually going to these classes. But it appears that they're not.
And then you hear all these students make these arguments. I don't know if you guys
So
have seen
many
the sign with
man.
these
All
protests. Like
everything.
we contribute to Canada's GDP. Canada would be nothing without us. They'll say this kind of shit all the time, right? When your whole point of you coming here wasn't to go to school,
Yeah,
right? Like if somebody, I have friends, right, that we went to school with,
Yeah.
right? And they came from India.
Yeah.
We have no problems with them. I don't think anyone in Canada would. They're Canadian
wouldn't even
citizens.
know.
They're Canadians,
yeah,
right? And like they rightfully got educated. They
Yeah.
did it the right way. They didn't come here with some bogus course or some university that doesn't exist, right? And now they have well-paying jobs. They're productive members of the Canadian society,
sure,
right?
yeah.
That's how it's done if you want to
Yeah.
do it through that system,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't, and all you want to do is just try to, I don't know, be a citizen of Canada somehow,
Yeah.
and you think that this is a loophole you can exploit, and then now you're going to get mad,
They're
right?
clear-
Especially when you keep getting these kind of reports as well,
yeah. They're clearly coming here. They're not even trying to go to school. They're not even attending class.
right? And then the audacity to be like,
Canada
no,
needs us.
they need us. Why are you guys going to push us out, right? Like,
Yeah,
as if you
It's
didn't know.
unfortunate that like we have such a like our culture is that let's do something quickly. Let's do it like not
Yeah.
the right way.
yeah. Just
Let's just
take
do a
shortcuts.
exactly.
Get it done.
It sucks that that's become part of our culture.
Yeah,
But not to shit on like Punjabi or Indian people specifically.
Yeah.
There's a whole chart, I think you
Yeah.
pulled it up, of a whole bunch
we have a
of countries and communities that are kind of exploiting this loophole, right?
yeah.
And I feel like on that list, obviously India is number one.
20,000.
But if you look at the actual percentage, I believe you'll see
China's is more.
yeah, and there's even more down the list.
Bangladesh.
What is Congo on that list? I think they are, right? I feel like they're at like 60 compliant rate.
Yeah.
I feel like non-compliant rate, like look at that. Who has the highest non-compliant rate? It's Rwanda. It looks like Congo.
Ghana, Congo, Rwanda, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more of the poorer countries,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which is expected. And if you look at India and China's non-compliant rate, it's 5.4 and 6 point.
But
What
there's
is it?
also a hell of a lot of more.
There's a hell of a
Indians
lot
coming.
of more of them,
Yeah.
right? But if, like, to put it into perspective, if somebody's going to come from Congo,
Yeah.
right, and they're like, you got to go to school, they're going to be like, well, we don't care about any of your policies. We're not going back there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what happens when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
come from those kind of places, right?
Yeah.
Just to put it into perspective when it comes to India and China,
Yeah.
right? Because even though we talk a lot of shit about that, there are a lot of people that come and they do good,
With good intentions.
right?
Yeah.
And they're productive members of society here,
Yeah.
right? Like a lot of people we know, like our parents that grew up, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't think it's just completely fair to just shit on them all the time.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But these people, when there's 50,000 people that have no intention of doing anything but staying
Never went to
here,
class. Yeah.
and you're going to do it at such a high rate of
Yeah.
population growth,
Without
it's wild.
acclimating, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They don't assimilate. Like, we talk about this on this podcast so much, I feel like, international students
Yeah.
now. But it's an easy thing to see and just be like, what the hell? Right?
Yeah.
Like, we were at the airport the other day, and I feel like, I'm not saying she was an international student, but the person controlling, I think it's called a bridge, right? To hook up to the airplane, they were struggling to do it.
Yeah.
And there's people on the plane being like, I bet you it's a girl. I
Yeah.
bet you it's this. And they're saying their own comments. And then
Yeah.
I was just looking, I was like, I hope it's just not. Right. And then I look and it's some immigrant girl. Right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh no. And then she's like panicked. And then some guy came and he did it in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I'm not saying that that's, a girl's not capable or
Yeah,
an
yeah.
immigrant's not capable. Right. But when they do these schools and they have these programs and they do
Bunch of
and they skip a
workarounds,
bunch
they're
of
just trying to
steps and
get
stuff
the
like
job.
that, and you end up in a
You're not
job
trained.
that you're not qualified for, shit's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Like these non-compliant students, they made up like about 7% of all the international students that come. That's a pretty high percentage that never have any intention to go to class, do anything. They just come here and get a job, just get paid.
I mean, on the flip side of it, like it is easier for us to say because we come from countries that we feel are so great.
Yeah.
Be it Canada, the US, UK, Australia, wherever we live, right? So we don't feel the need if we go to Australia and be like, we're going to live here, right?
Yeah.
If I take a
going there
trip
to
to UK,
visit.
I'm not like, oh my God, I'm going to do whatever the hell I can to stay here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no, I can come back, go and come back as I please, right?
Yeah.
And if I want to visit, I'll visit. If I want to stay here, I'll stay here.
Yeah.
I've seen headlines though recently where international students, specifically from India, are saying that they feel safer in their home countries than they do here now.
Don't you feel like that's a stupid narrative just to push?
That's
because
is
really
just-
dumb. I've
but-
been to India. I don't agree.
Yeah, and we know people, like there's bans for like women to go out at night.
Yeah.
Like after like I think
and
10,
anything that we've been seeing, isn't there a lot of crime that's gone up ever since the population has grown so much? Right? I'm not blaming it all on immigrants,
It has
Right.
a lot to do with immigration.
but I mean, I don't know. I think it just, all it does when a government has bad immigration policies, it overloads the system. You start getting more hate. You start losing more jobs. People get frustrated. You come out of a time period like COVID, and then you get a lot of people who are angry that, they've lost money, or maybe they missed out on the housing market, or maybe they missed out on the stock market, or
Yeah.
maybe they put too much money in Bitcoin. Then that tanked. Now it went back up, and now they're hurt. You don't know why
Yeah.
people are angry, but now they have somebody to blame.
It's just like a recipe
Population
for
growth, right?
disaster, right? A bunch of things compounding. And now you got tariffs, you got a bunch of other external factors. So it's unfortunate.
But yeah, that's a wrap for the stories. Let's move on to off topic.
So first topic is Drake files defamation lawsuit.
Yeah, so he filed a lawsuit against UMG.
Okay.
And in the so before he filed the petition, if you guys remember, and it had the defamation claim, but then it also had the claim that they inflated the numbers for Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
But then he withdrew that petition. And so everyone was like, oh, like he's not going to go forward with it. But then the very next day, he filed a lawsuit in New York. And in the lawsuit, he wanted to make it clear, the lawsuit wanted to make it clear that it was not towards Kendrick Lamar, but quote, it was to hold UMG accountable for knowingly promoting false and defamatory allegations against him. So basically that UMG like benefited from it and helped promote the song, even though it had things that
That's the
were,
thing, right? So I guess he's pissed off about the slander.
yeah, like calling him like a pedophile and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, he felt like it suggested to the public that they should have some vigilante justice in response to this song.
Okay.
And ever since it came out, Drake has been saying that he's felt like unsafe. And there's been few instances like
He says that in the lawsuit?
yeah, in the lawsuit that like because of these defamatory claims, people are like taking like
Yes, I think
vigilante.
one of his security guards got shot.
Yeah, so
right?
there was a drive-by shooting at his house and a security guard got shot. Somebody tried to like dig underneath and like intrude into his house. And he's like, he felt unsafe for himself and for his family, so he pulled his son out of school, and he moved him out of the country.
Yeah.
Just at a basketball game.
Yeah, but he doesn't go to school in Toronto anymore, apparently. Well, he said all of this in the lawsuit. His lawyers also wanted to make note of the artwork for Not Like Us. So it's basically his house, and it's dotted with red markers. And usually that's what's used to represent the presence of registered sex offenders.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Like Drake's house is already pretty popular.
Yeah, I
like
don't think
everybody
anyone-
knows where he lives. Everybody knows
Everyone
what it looks like. Everybody knows his address. He basically did like a house tour in the Tootsie Slide music video. So like, but he's claiming that he never had any sort of dangerous encounters until the song came out.
Yeah.
So like people already knew for so long, but then the song came out and now all these things are happening.
Yeah. I don't know how popular that would be in the rap industry. He's kind of like snitching, right?
I don't think I'd look at it as like snitching.
We wouldn't because we're.
I mean, no, to me, like it's definitely corny.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're in a rap beef, you rap
Like,
about it.
he's trying to hurt me. That's what it comes across as.
But like I think from his perspective, what he's probably doing, or what I see, like you're saying that wasn't he just at a Raptors game? I think publicly he's going to continue to act like Drake.
Yeah.
I think his legal team is going to try to hurt UMG and Kendrick as much as they can the legal way.
Yeah.
Right. Which, if that's how he wants to go about this battle, and
Honestly, I get it. Like the calls to violence, even with Schultz, remember he's like, you got to slide on him. Like that's not necessary. You don't got to say all that. And if somebody publicly calls you a pedophile, that's hard to recover from. And there's no evidence.
okay,
to
even
support
that when he says certified lover boy, more like certified pedophile.
Yeah.
Wasn't he referring to one of Drake's friends or something? If you pull up the full lyric, right?
I think people speculated that,
Right.
But I think that it is he's talking about
He's
Drake.
talking about Drake.
And
I don't know, 'cause
even
I've
if
heard
he
that-
wasn't at that point. This is what he's running.
I think that's probably
Yeah.
Drake fanboys trying to be like,
I did. See
No,
what
I'm
you're
pretty
saying.
sure if you read the whole like lyric and like the whole part of it.
He calls their whole clique like
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah,
pedals.
like if
He's
you
saying
read
they
it,
all
I don't think it specifically talks about Drake. But even then, like
Yeah.
how many rap lyrics in history have you seen that are much worse? than
Yeah.
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 And they probably incite more violence.
Yeah.
Think about Eminem's every song
Yeah.
prior to like his like mature phase
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, or even like
What his mom
you could
called
name
him.
any rapper.
Right.
If
And
you,
that was horrible.
I've seen people that bring up old Biggie lyrics
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they poke at him
Yeah.
and he's like, and they're pretty descriptive, weird lyrics that
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
get, you wouldn't get
just-
away with those kind of lyrics today.
The time we live in too, right?
Yeah, so then evolving with those times, if Drake pulls this off and wins this lawsuit, let's just say,
Yeah.
right?
That he
Dude.
doesn't perform the song.
At the Super Bowl.
Well, let's say
do
whether
you
he
think
does or
that's
doesn't, if this
part
guy
of it?
wins a lawsuit before or after that, and there's some sort of ramifications to UMG or Kendrick financially speaking,
Yeah.
you think that shifts how rap beefs are dealt with moving forward,
They're dealt through
Yeah.
the court system.
I don't.
right? You don't,
I
because
think that's just particular to Drake.
Yeah, but
No.
he's like the biggest rapper.
Yeah, but he's always like he's kind of. I'm a Drake fan.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but he's
Yeah.
always been the sensitive. Like he's been labeled as like that in that camp. He's not like
but his lyrics
He's not
still
gonna
speak
throw
that way,
hands.
and nobody, for whatever reason, nobody ever thought that his camp wasn't capable.
Yeah. For sure.
Right, like you'll hear stories here and there. There's a reason why respectable rappers still run with them.
Yeah.
Right? They'll be like, "All right, cool." Right, like nobody said shit to him until he lost his battle against Kendrick. And what's to say if he didn't lose the rap battle against Kendrick,
Yeah.
that this narrative would have shifted whatsoever?
Yeah.
Right, like I feel like
so
there's
you think if he didn't lose the rap battle, he wouldn't have filed this lawsuit?
no, hell no,
Sure. Yeah.
hell no.
He still would have let him perform the song? Like
Yeah.
he's still been okay with that?
Well, if theoretically, if Kendrick lost a battle, then Kendrick's not performing that song at the Super Bowl because he lost.
Yeah. It does feel like that's their main goal, though. His team, they're trying to get that song not played.
Yeah, to me, I just look at it as like a business move, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody slighted your reputation, if you're gonna continue fighting it, and the world doesn't want to hear your rap part on it, right? Or like, what was his last song they did? The Heart Part 6,
Who can?
right? No,
Drake.
Drake's,
Oh.
where he was like, "I'm done after this" or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if he didn't want to rap anymore about it because he's just the beef was over or whatever, that's where the outcome was.
Yeah.
You can continue fighting this in court as much as you want.
Yeah.
Right, and he's kind of saying that he's taking shots at, and like Simon was saying, UMG specifically, and not taking them at Kendrick.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then like he was at the basketball game, Raptors game, or wherever he was, he's acting like normal Drake.
Yeah.
Right. So
It's sad.
yeah. So he's not worried that somebody's
he
gonna
went to
run
go
up on
see
him.
Curry. He's the only person who
Yeah,
rode with him.
that's the game I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a reason he went to that game, right? Curry's the only one who stood with him. I guess KD.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, to me, that I respect Curry and KD for doing that. Right, like the whole world wants to jump on the bandwagon
Yeah.
of like
You're like, no,
not
that's
like
my
us and
boy.
this and that,
We're
right?
not doing that.
Yeah, they're like that's what we ride with, so they're riding with him. That's pretty cool,
Yeah.
right?
The way I see it though, like at this point, what's Drake even doing? Like everyone's heard the song. If you're a Drake fan, you're still gonna be a Drake fan. Like get over it.
Even if
Move
you're
on.
not,
Let him
nobody's.
do it.
Drake drops an album, it's gonna sell.
Let's
People are
play
gonna
this
listen.
out.
Exactly. He's
Let's
gonna
play this
sell
out.
out a concert.
UMG is a
100%.
massive company.
It's not like he needs the payout.
No, it's not the payout, but to hurt a
Yeah.
massive company who
Yeah.
pays you
Yeah.
because you think that, like, we don't know what happens behind the scenes, right? If he believes that this company is somehow stacking the deck in the other favor so they didn't have to pay Drake as much,
Yeah.
right, on this contract negotiation,
Has to be a
then,
money thing.
then why wouldn't you be like, oh, you think I'm gonna let that slide? No.
Do you think other companies are not gonna want to like sign Drake?
Does it matter? Like, he's fine. I don't think Drake's worried about money.
Yeah.
Look at his house. Right? Like,
You can just
Right
like
there.
ego thing.
yes and no. Like, if somebody actually cited you, right? If we take the beef,
That's some
out-
crazy slander. To just
For
you know
sure.
how much he
but
probably hears that? He's probably walking around. People
all the
probably
time.
yell it at him.
For sure.
Mhm.
And the whole stadium's gonna sing it. Like, let's be real.
Yeah,
Don't
and
piss
the
anyone
Super
off.
Bowl like audience is so big. There's gonna be people that don't know the song that are now gonna hear it, and if everyone's singing along to it, it's gonna
Hurt his feelings.
yeah. Drake won't like
God.
that.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you ever have a shot at, who knows, right? Like, we talk about these social media companies, right? And the shadow banning and all this stuff, right? If there's bots and stuff in the music industry,
Yeah.
right? And he knows it because they probably worked in his favor sometimes, so he knows how that shit works,
Yeah.
right? So if it goes in the other direction so much during a beef and he feels like it's unfair,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're him, aren't you going to be like, what the? Like,
Yeah.
the whole world thinks that this happened when actually this was happening.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You're gonna try to make sure that, I don't know, you get your money's worth or
Yeah.
a little bit of justice or whatever, right?
Some
But
justice, yeah.
I mean, to Kendrick's point, right? Like, or like, if you're gonna look at it from his side, this
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
This guy's fighting legal battles.
all
You're fighting rap
publicity,
battles,
man.
right?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, do your thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Right?
gonna come across that way to most people.
Yeah.
It's gonna come across as corny,
Yeah,
but we'll see what comes of it.
yeah. I feel like he's gonna keep doing it because
Yeah.
he's just gonna keep doing Drake publicly, and his
Yeah.
legal teams will keep doing legal things.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. So AJ Brown was reading the self-help book.
So he's on the sidelines during a Philly and Green Bay game,
Yeah.
and he was reading Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy, and like that clip of him reading it went viral, and then the sales for that book skyrocketed.
Yeah,
It's like #1 on Amazon bestseller list.
It went up 53 million%.
Yeah, like it was
God.
in the thousands before that. Then
Yeah.
it went to #1.
Next day.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The author was
Yeah.
like, he was on the sellers list. He was in the 9 or 10, 8,000.
Thousands, yeah.
And he's like, he's never been close to #1. He's #1 now.
Very pleasantly surprised that happened. But
Yeah.
that is surprising. I didn't know that he would have so
this-
much
So he said he brings
influence.
it to each game and he
Yeah.
reads a little bit of it.
Yeah,
Whenever
yeah.
he-
Apparently, but
It's cool.
yeah.
No, it is cool. Like right away, I don't know why. I'm just like, was this a publicity stunt? Did somebody get paid? What happened here? Right? Like, how does somebody go from
Yeah.
8,000 to
You
#1?
obviously always think
Always. Like, what's behind this?
But a
right?
little backstory on the team, there is some like a little bit of beef amongst them. There was
Okay.
like, this guy's not getting, even in the game, he didn't get thrown to a lot. He's kind of
Yeah,
being
and people
perceived
thought
as-
that's why he was.
he's getting perceived as a diva a bit, and they're like, that's why he was on just
You know-
eating. Because even the announcer, he's just like, I've seen a million things in my career. I've never seen. He's like, I've seen players throw helmets,
Yeah.
like break iPads. I've never seen one read a book on the sidelines, right? So,
But he replied to that, and the comment he made was, "Why do you always think I'd be frustrated? Dang, I like to read."
okay,
So you're just saying like it,
everyone thinks he's
natural.
frustrated because he's always frustrated.
Well, I guess they're thinking self-help book. Like maybe there's something going on.
Yeah,
He's basically just saying he likes to read. It was nothing
Yeah.
more than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is
it's
weird.
better than LeBron holding a book upside down
yeah.
during a press conference or whatever that
he
was.
met with the author too. I
Yeah.
don't know if they're gonna shoot something. If
Yeah.
it wasn't
Oh, yeah, I
pre-planned,
was trying to do something with them. I read that.
Well,
they're gonna make money off it now. For sure.
100%. Wouldn't you capitalize on that?
53 million% jump. Not like a couple
Imagine
thousand.
if you wrote a book or even like something.
This guy probably woke up
But
in the
for
morning.
example,
He's
if
just
he
like,
wasn't doing that and
Yeah.
he instead was drinking something,
Yeah.
do you think same thing would have happened?
No.
no, not
Just
drinking.
specifically because it was
I don't
a
even
book?
think it would get that much viral attention because, like, don't players drink something on the
Okay,
sidelines
maybe
all
bad-
No, they're
bad
not allowed to.
example.
They can
They're
only
not
get
allowed
to.
Gatorade.
Anything
I'm
if
pretty
he
sure.
was skipping.
No, I think
Yeah,
I think reading a book is kind of like. Hold on, are they trying to say they're so stupid that they don't read books? So when they read a book, it's shocking? Is that
Or
what-
that he's so bored.
Yeah.
from the game.
it's more of that. I think.
Yeah.
He's just bored. But like, I think with this, it was just kind of a perfect scenario. The book is like bright blue
Yeah, yeah.
on camera. The way he was holding, it, you can read the title.
Did it look like he was actually reading it?
Yeah, he was like reading it. It says, I don't even think it's a long book. It's like $17 on Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just like a paperback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was just more of that. And then that makes me think what you're saying. I don't know. Was it pre-planned? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just the power of like the amount of eyes that are on this league, man. And like when something goes viral, it's just crazy.
Well, it's not only the NFL. When you get your 2 seconds of fame
Yeah.
in this day and age, you gotta act
gotta
and
run
you gotta
with
act fast. Like
Yeah.
you saw what Hawk Tua did, right? Like,
Yeah,
that
look
was
what's going on with her
reading a
now.
book, right? Yeah,
Lawsuit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she
Kind of
clearly-
done now, right?
She had, I don't know. I mean,
feels like it.
seems like she's about to go to jail or something. I don't know. But I feel like in this day and age, like that's how you have to be when it comes to virality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not good for him.
Yeah.
It's a good way to become viral. No?
He's already a really good player. He's like a
Yeah.
top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah, and it's easy to shit on people, right? Like maybe the guy's actually reading books and he has his mind right. He's going in the right direction. You're like, why is he reading that book?
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Do you think they'll like stop that though now? Like how you said they can't drink on the sidelines. They'll be like, you can't put books.
No more books. You're
I don't
not
think-
You have
allowed
to hide the
read.
cover.
That's harder.
You're gonna
I don't
read.
think that's a big problem in the league. I don't think any player has a.
Imagine the outrage is like 3 people. They're like,
I love reading on the sidelines.
Yeah, because you never know. Maybe other people will want to do it now.
Maybe.
Like authors start incentivizing players. Read my book.
If that
is
starts
how it-
happening,
yeah.
they'll stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the money gets involved, then
Yeah, it's always about the
Sponsorship
money.
deals,
Yeah. Then it's
that's not
like you can read the
happening. NFL
book
wants their
that we
cut.
sponsor.
Yeah.
If they throw our logo on it,
yeah, then I'll actually stop it.
or don't show it on TV or whatever. But yeah,
Okay, let's move on to another viral sensation. Jello Ball
Yeah.
released a song. Released a song and got signed actually. For
Yeah.
a $13 million recording contract with Def Jam. With Universal Music's Def Jam.
how
Yeah.
much? 13 million?
13 mil.
$8 million guaranteed in his pocket.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like praising him on it too. Like Joe Budden said it.
People love the song.
Joe like
Do you like the
Meek Mill,
song?
I like it.
T-Pain.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it, so you're just gonna hear me
It's called Tweaker.
for no reason just
Yeah.
hate.
But
But
a lot of people are saying like it has like a 2000s vibe, like a West
Yeah.
Coast vibe
Yeah.
to the song. It's like
Kind of a
different.
bop.
It's not like. What
I
we
mean,
hear
out of the
these
3
days.
Ball brothers, he's the one that isn't really a baller, right?
Yeah.
Like,
he tried. He tried his
ball.
darndest.
try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's the same thing we were saying with the virality, right? When it
Yeah.
happens, it goes crazy. This
Don't know
song,
when it's gonna happen, how, but like
Yeah.
it's
yeah. When it
TikTok.
happens, you act.
This song's TikTok alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you, this thing was on TikTok,
yeah.
and these sports players started playing it, and every time they would
Shaquille
win,
O'Neal was dancing to.
all of them, even these, especially football. I mean,
Oh, Detroit Lions.
yeah,
right? They're playing
football
in their
has such a
locker room.
reach,
Yeah.
and then even the basketball team started following suit. Every time a team would win a game, they'd play that Jello,
Yeah.
playing it and like dancing to it and stuff, and it just took off. This thing like climbed the charts. I think it was like top 5 at a point,
Yeah.
and overnight success. Right? He's clearly signed with Def Jam. and
Good
stuff.
for him. Imagine having 2 brothers, right? He's the middle one, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
middle one.
Yeah. So
They're calling him middle child.
yeah, your younger brother, basketball player. right?
Yeah.
Your older brother, basketball player.
Yeah.
And even the younger one, I think LaMelo's better than Jello. I mean, sorry, the other one.
Lonzo, yeah.
Right.
Well, Lonzo got
Injuries,
injured
right?
and
Yeah.
stuff. He's a great role player. He has a lot of like, if he stays healthy, he can
Yeah,
be a
but
good player.
yeah, Alonzo's more of like a true point guard, right?
Yeah.
I feel like LaMelo's one of those scoring point guards
Yeah,
who likes to
more of a shooting guard with the ball.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he's gonna be like, speaking of like their family as a whole, like a lot of people are saying LeVar Ball. Like, what do you think? He was getting so much hate in the past, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why is he talking
like
up
forcing it,
all of them, right?
forcing it on them.
Yeah, or just like always saying, "Oh, my son's the best. He could be Jordan.
Yeah.
He could be this." He
The
could be
more I
that," right?
think about him, though, the more I feel like it's like a Kris Jenner situation.
Like that type of
look what
vibe?
she kind of did for her kid.
Yeah,
Like she's their momager. He's kind of
their dadager.
So to me, I disagree.
Well, in the end, if you look at it,
What do you disagree with?
From the beginning, this guy always came off as, instead of putting his kids first, it seemed like he wanted to put the baller brand, the big baller brand
Yeah.
first, right?
Triple
He's making
B.
these sneakers. Look, they're all wearing, well, the 2 of them are wearing
the brand.
Oh, all 4 of
I think
them.
all.
Oh, wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always been the brand for him. Our sneakers are going to be the best, this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
She gets them gigs. She gets them interviews. She gets them runway shows.
the difference is she was in the game before they were, right?
Yeah.
LeVar wasn't, to my knowledge, he's not an NBA
think he
player, right? It's not like he was a superstar. It's not like he was any of those things. He's clearly, he did well by his kids because they became successful athletes, right? But he's been trying to capitalize off that monetarily ever since the get,
Yeah.
right? Whereas like most basketball players are athletes, you'll hear them say like, "Yeah, man, I got rich. I bought my mama house, I bought my dad a crib," or whatever, right?
But are those athletes' parents their managers? No.
I don't know if our kid was to grow up and become wildly
We
successful.
talked about this. If
Right.
you had a boy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're like at 3 years old, I'm going to start teaching him how to dribble.
Yeah.
Oh, this is joking. Yeah,
I'm
but
just saying, like, but you're like how like, well, before, like when you were more of a LeBron fan, you used to say stuff like that about
Yeah.
him, right? That from a young age, he used to get his kids to like learn how to play basketball.
Yeah.
He kind of like coached them,
Yeah.
and then say he becomes their manager too. Say he wasn't playing anymore.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he have taken more of a manager role?
No, my first instinct would be to protect the kids' interests. Period.
For sure. but you
Before
gotta-
my
you
own
have to push
financial.
them.
No,
You do have to. Push
you can
them.
push them, but if you stand to whenever money gets involved
Yeah.
and you're making money off of your kids,
Yeah.
right? It's different if the kid grows up and goes like, Dad, like, I trust you. I don't trust anyone else. Can you be this part in my organization or do this? Cool, right?
Yeah.
I think when, as a parent, you start to take credit for your kid's shit or you think that you deserve whatever your kid is doing, that's the ultimate form of narcissism, right? You're not putting your kid first. You're trying to be like, yeah, I deserve this. I deserve for the
I get
big baller
I
brand to be
understand.
big because that's my son. right?
Yeah.
Like, are you scoring
agree.
those buckets? No.
But if you're getting him deals, if you're pushing him,
Yeah.
But you're not.
No,
Like,
that's
there's a
my thing is right. Like Lonzo Ball, I don't know if he should have been a second overall pick. I think him like talking him up really made him a second overall.
Yeah.
pick. LaMelo had the talent.
Yeah.
He was gonna be a lottery pick.
Yeah.
And he's doing well. He's gonna be a friggin' all
Well,
star.
Lonzo would have been a top 10 pick regardless. I
Top
feel like
10,
in
but I don't
college
know.
he was
I
doing
think
pretty
he
well.
really got
right?
him to
This guy did
the
pick him
second
up,
pick, yeah.
right? But I feel like he would have been a top 10 pick regardless.
Yeah.
But what Sukfir is saying, you think he's getting him deals? He's getting him deals. He's trying to make all of his kids sign with his own. Those kids can make more money if they're signing with traditional shoe brands,
happened.
right? And they happen.
No,
and he was
LaMelo-
salty about it. No?
Yeah, LaMelo signed with
Puma. Wasn't it Puma or Adidas?
Puma, Adidas. I think.
One of them.
And he's like, good luck.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
He's like, you should be with the brand.
Yeah, he should have
Big
been with
baller
Big Baller brand, right? So it's not like he cares about how much money LaMelo's making or how successful he is. He's like, yo, you're not with the brand.
I get it. A lot of people online, at least, they're going, yo, he was right. He put his kids on. Like, one's making at least 50, 60 million a year for the foreseeable future. LaMelo's going to sign a massive contract. He's going to get 100 something, 200 million. And then Jello just got, it's no joke, 8 million in his pocket, $13 million deal.
Yeah, but how much of that is because his brothers are NBA superstars, right? And that puts your name in the limelight a little bit.
Now he's
Has a
courtside at the
lot
game.
to do with that.
He was courtside at the game. I don't think anyone ever gave a shit about Jello being courtside at the
No.
game. Now the cameras are on.
Yeah. And which, like, we shifted this to LeVar Ball. Let's shift it back to Jello. I feel like good for that kid.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Middle
You
child.
got to run with it too. Like
Yeah,
you're saying,
run
you get
with
your
it,
2 seconds.
man. Like, yeah, like I feel like,
how many songs you know that it was like one hit wonder?
Yeah, you
Right?
got to just cash in. And he did.
yeah,
Cashed in.
nah, good for him, man.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move away from sports. There was a woman in France who was scammed by these AI generated fake images of Brad Pitt.
I saw
First, let me show you the images. So
Oh, no.
basically, she was reached
Oh,
out by
no.
somebody who said it was Brad Pitt's mom and said, my son needs money for kidney. I've heard kidney problems, or I've heard cancer. And then that he can't pay for it because he's going through legal proceedings with Angelina Jolie.
So Brad Pitt
God.
reached out to this random lady.
Yeah. So then eventually, like, in the person started saying that now they're Brad Pitt. First it was his mom. Then it was Brad Pitt. But she gave him $850,000.
Oh my
So
God.
she was wealthy. And this is the part it's that I've heard different. I've read different things where either she divorced her husband, or they were having marital problems, or she's going through a divorce, left her husband. So I don't know about that part.
Yeah.
But she used money from that situation to give to this scammer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I even heard that she divorced him because of this.
Yeah, and like the husband was pretty wealthy.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
left
that's what it
him
was.
for Brad
For
Pitt.
this fake.
Believable
Look at that
photo.
one. Is that her name? Annie, I guess.
Anne.
Anne?
That's what they call her and all like that.
Okay. That one looks so bad.
Which one? They all look bad.
Where he's holding the sign.
They all look bad.
I think.
Look at the black and white one.
This
Yeah, look at that one. His head looks like
there. Who's taking that picture?
who's the cameraman taking
And
that
he has
picture?
hair, but then here he doesn't.
Oh my God.
Wow.
This one too, right? The one in the middle. It's like he's like taking a selfie with his
Next
hospital bed.
Check out my bed.
But
That's
that's a
crazy.
lot of money.
That's
That's
insane, man.
I mean, but if you're gonna fall for these pictures, like, when is a celebrity ever gonna reach out to you
Ever.
and be like, "Give me money"?
Yeah, that's like the
Yeah, people are making like a mockery out of her. Like, so Netflix France wrote, so 4 films to see with Brad Pitt for free, but they had to delete the comment.
Oh,
Because,
Mm.
and then there was like a football club that said, posted on their site or whatever that Brad Pitt's going to be here on Wednesday, but they had to delete that too.
Oh
damn.
my god.
Yeah,
How old
And-
was the lady that did
she
this?
was in her 50s. She wasn't young.
Mm.
But she wasn't that old either. But she was saying that she's not used to social media. Like she didn't really know. She had just joined it or something along those lines.
I have a hard time feeling bad for somebody that thinks Brad Pitt reached out to you.
Yeah,
online.
even if you're new to social media, like, can you tell the difference
Stupid,
between a
aren't you?
real photo and a
much
fake one?
money? Like
Yeah.
you didn't cap it at like
Not
10
that
G.
much.
Telling you guys, I'll keep saying it.
This
When there's
is-
money involved, just stop
Oh,
for a second.
yeah.
If somebody wants money for anything, you're like, hold on, why?
This is the type of idiot that would fall for those Nigerian scams.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I also
You get in the
saw,
mail,
like a
emails.
statistic that in 2022, 70,000 people reported a romance scam with losses up to $1.3 billion.
Oh my god.
This one's worse than that sweet Bobby girl too. This,
That's what it reminded me of.
but
the
she
Sweet
did she
Bobby
lose money?
situation. Because
she gave him money.
No.
I don't think that sweet Bobby girl ever
No,
gave
no,
money. She
she
gave him a
gave
hell of a lot of
time.
time.
Yeah.
10 years.
This one was a year relationship with Brad Pitt.
Oh my.
1 year, 830 grand.
Imagine.
Who was the person that she gave the money to?
They don't know.
Oh.
They didn't find out. And then even like, so Brad Pitt just released a statement saying, be aware.
Oh,
Like,
really?
give her some money.
Yeah.
Man. Like, you don't have it.
What if
Throw a little $1 million.
this lady is a Nigerian scammer and Brad Pitt is who they're trying to get?
then-
That's the target.
It happened with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
AI is getting out of hand, eh?
That's not even AI. This is hilarious
Does
shit.
this look like Photoshop?
Yeah.
Really bad, like
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then that's all we have for off topic. Should we move on to the questions?
Yeah, should we move on to the questions? So we'll do one question and then we'll do the blank ranking.
Okay.
again, like last
And
time.
I know how it works.
You know how it works now. We'll start with the question. If you could outlaw one thing that's acceptable in our culture right now, what would it be?
Like Indian
In
culture?
Indian culture?
Like in society?
Oh, in society in
So I was
general.
like, we're pretty strict.
Yeah. I was gonna say that would have been drinking, I think, or culture kind of
Outlying drinking?
not outlawing it.
Make it
but, like,
illegal.
yeah.
Something that's not.
I'm like, we're already pretty.
Yeah. In society in general.
Yeah.
That can be so many, but like there's so many laws in place, people do them anyways, right?
Like what?
Like murder,
Yeah.
You
stealing.
want that to be?
No, you outlaw it.
Oh,
But it's illegal, right? Like there's
Yeah.
punishment.
Yeah,
for it.
that's already
But what's
illegal.
something that's
What currently
acceptable
is
that you would
acceptable? Yeah,
want to be illegal?
right. Are we all just drawing a blank on this together?
I am drinking a blank.
That's
I'm
just-
trying to think like
Because everything
Like
I'm thinking,
everything's already illegal that you're gonna make illegal. I don't know.
yeah, like yeah. So it has to be something that's tech related. I feel like almost for it to be
Maybe it's
outlawed
AI
right now.
scamming. Let's make that illegal.
that is
That is
illegal.
that is gonna
That's
be
illegal.
illegal. Yeah,
Everything's already illegal.
yeah. It's
What do you
already
make
illegal.
spitting.
What's
in,
not illegal, huh?
spitting in public? You know, in other countries that's illegal, but not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I mean, I
Singapore?
guess that's
What's wrong
kind
with
of bad.
spitting
That's
in
all we could come up with. Because
The
like
environment related. Everything else is illegal.
oh, like it could be things like okay, this isn't what I'm saying, but just to start
Yeah.
getting the thought process going, like people that don't shovel their driveways
Oh,
or cut their grass
I'm guilty of that.
or well kept lawns or whatever. Like I feel like that's where you got to think.
But there's nothing I feel too deep about.
Neither do I, because everything I'm thinking is like, okay, distracted driving, there's laws for that,
Yeah.
right? Drinking and driving, there's laws for that. Maybe.
Well, I guess you could. Is there a way to make it mandatory that your blood alcohol level gets checked?
Everyone gets a breathalyzer.
Yeah.
Before they start.
Why would you want that?
Yeah, that would suck.
No, I would. That's a good idea.
That's it. It's if it's impossible.
Because if you have no problem, then you should have no problem baking it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Start your car? Why not?
because there's a lot of complications. I'm not saying I drink and drive. I'm not
But have
saying
like
that.
asthma and stuff.
No, or like false readings on certain
Yeah.
breathalyzers, or somebody who drinks a glass of wine decides to drive and they blow like
Well, too bad for them.
right. Yeah, according to you, jail right now.
Uber. Right straight to jail.
Or even something similar to what we were talking about, how the FDA banned the red food dye.
Yeah.
Maybe more bans, more stringent laws against what kind of food we're
Everybody will start
consuming.
farming.
Force us to eat healthy.
Yeah, like look at the population. So much of it is obese.
Outlaw obesity, that would be jokes.
Yeah.
Not allowed to be this fat. Have like guidelines. I don't know. That's a tough one. I feel like, yeah, the food thing is
Maybe
good.
because we have so many laws.
Or social media things, right, for kids.
Putting limits on it.
You know, or not letting cell phones be in schools for anyone under 16.
They tried to tell
things
that
like,
to a 16-year-old.
Will, when my kid's 16, be her cell phone is staying here. We'll see how that goes.
Cell phone.
Huh?
You're not even getting one, apparently.
There you go. She's not even getting one. Who knows if there would even be cell phones at that time? Maybe like Google Glass or whatever.
Yeah, let's just move on to the blind ranking.
Okay.
So we'll do songs this time. So I'll say 5. And then
We
you
know how it
guys
works.
won't know what's coming next and just rank it from 1 to 5. So I'm going to stick with songs within the last 10, 20 years.
Every genre or just
we
one?
know that, or like the
You're going to know all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Are they just hip hop, rap, or are they every genre?
They're more like pop.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Huge
So
pop fans here.
first
Let's go.
song.
Yeah, I was like, they should be more. Okay, go.
First song is Uptown Funk.
What
by
the hell is
Bruno
it?
Mars.
You know it.
Yes. I never liked
5.
Yeah,
I'd go 5.
right at 5.
5.
Yeah.
I don't like anything from that guy.
Really?
Wow, this guy's just.
You know,
really-
he's like the most streamed
know that.
artist
I
in the
know.
world.
Yeah, I know. I
People
don't
love
get it.
Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
I don't get that either. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I know that because he came out.
He's
He
like
just came
one
out
of
with
the
some
most
song.
ties. Like, if you wanted to hire him for something, you'd have to.
He
spend
costs the
money.
most?
Yeah, that's what I'm not coming out.
Yeah, but who would pay?
Celebrities,
I don't know. I never liked him.
or like, sorry, rich people that want celebrities at their wedding.
I just know like the Grenade song kind of hit, right?
I
That was
guess.
it.
Just say you're a Bruno Mars fan.
Oh, like what else does he
But
have?
he's number 5.
He was on
the.
the.
We'll
yeah,
go with
let's go
5.
number 5. That was a straight consensus. We talked
Okay.
about it for no reason.
Stay by the Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber.
You have to sing that song for me. How does that go?
4.
Jesus.
3.
No, that's Rihanna.
That's someone else.
What did you say?
Nothing. I'm not gonna say that again.
Started singing a
I want you to stay.
Oh, I
That's
thought-
Rihanna. That's Rihanna.
I thought about. I was like, is that Adele? No.
I feel like I know the song. I think.
I think I know it too.
I'm
I think
drawing
it's
a
a good
blank on
song.
how it sounds. Yeah.
Indy, you do know the song. If Justin Bieber.
Okay, we're just gonna toss this at 4. We have no idea.
Let's do 3.
3? You sure?
Yeah.
Do you think something's be worse than a song we don't know? All right, 3.
Okay, next one is I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas.
I feel like that's gonna have to be 2. It can't be 4. I don't even know what
2.
stay is. Right?
You know it. If you heard it, you would.
2. Okay, 2.
2.
That's gonna go too.
Yeah. Okay, why you want to put that 4?
That's better than.
Okay, sure. That's a really popular song, and it
Imagine when it came
in
out.
its time it was really
Yeah.
popular. I guess we could go 2. Sure.
Okay, the next one is Blinding Lights by The Weeknd.
Oh. You don't like the weekend?
No, I feel like I have to put it as 1, but I don't think it's a 1 song.
Yeah, because of where
'Cause I
we
can't
ended
put it
up, right? You
4.
can't put it 4.
It's not that bad.
But what do you think?
I
he's gonna
think
say
of
next?
the songs, that's probably the one I listen to the most. I'll go-
Really? I got a feeling it would have been.
I feel like the last song's gonna be banger now.
Really?
Just
So
I'm just
4 or
guessing.
1? But what if she says like,
I'm gonna say 1.
I guess we'll just put it at 1.
fine, I feel like we're going to regret this. 1.
Okay, and the last one is Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That was
Number
that was a
4?
banger.
Yeah, that could have been 1 when it
Really?
came out. Yeah.
When it came out. Maybe
Yeah.
3.
Hmm.
Okay.
So
Basically, the reason I'm asking you guys these songs, they
Okay.
probably seem pretty random, but there actually is a right answer this time because these are the top 100. There's a list of songs of the 21st century.
oh, there's
Yes,
these.
most streamed songs this century. Billboard released this list.
We kind of hated all of them.
Well, if you want to know the actual order, number 1 was Blinding Lights, 2 Uptown Funk, 3 Stay, 4 Party Rock Anthem, and 5 I Got a Feeling.
Oh shit, we didn't really get that
You
right.
just messed up 2.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
See,
yeah.
that's what I like.
Yeah, you like answers. Okay.
Yeah, and with that, remember we're not experts on anything, but we research everything. We encourage you guys to do the same. We'll catch you guys next week.
Take care, everybody.